We're talking about that, and of course we're talking also about crimes like intoxication, assault, DWI, or in some jurisdictions known as DUI, driving under the influence. These are very common. Intoxication, manslaughter, you've been drinking or on drugs and you hit somebody, or assault to a patient, and that is a show within itself. When you have what constitutes assault, what constitutes battery, and we'll talk about those kinds of things in hopefully in future shows. But just an overview of some of the crimes that you are confronted with that can lead to criminal liability, and those are some examples. And you know, what we're looking at is some of the crimes. You know, people ask me all the time, Joe, some of the nurses that you've represented, and some of the questions, what are the most severe crimes that lead to revocation? Again, it would be fraud, theft, or possession of a large quantity of drugs. It doesn't have to be prescription drugs, illicit drugs, marijuana, cocaine, or even being under the influence of that, which tells the board and the DA or the prosecuting attorney that there is a problem and that there is a threat to the public. You've got to remember that the DA or the prosecutor is not only looking at you as some potential defendant, they're also looking at you as somebody in a position of trust that has taken care of the general public. And if you're arrested, don't ignore the problem. I tell this to people over and over again, is if you are arrested, don't ignore the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Out there, my colleagues in nursing, a lot of the time we go into denial and say, I can't believe I was accused of this. I can't believe that they're saying that I committed this crime. Don't leave all of the problems at the doorstep. Address them. And again, I can't stress enough, don't ignore the problem. Get an attorney. Find out what you're being charged with. A lot of the time, the bail issue, again, you're looking at a judge is saying, well, let me see if this person's going to be a flight risk. Let me see if this person will go ahead and show up to trial when they're supposed to. Because often when you are, in many jurisdictions, you are sentenced, before you're being sentenced, rather, you're arrested and there is bail. You've been detained for several hours, maybe a couple of days, up to a couple of days, and you've asked for an attorney or you've asked for bail. A lot of the time they'll give you a personal recognizance bond. Pay nothing and you don't have to pay anything, and you're released. That doesn't happen often, especially with a serious crime. If you're charged with a felony, a lot of the time they're going to put a reasonable bail. What's a reasonable bail? A $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 bond. And you're also going to have to put up a portion of that. In some jurisdictions, 10 or 15% of that bond in order for you to get out. So it's already costing you money. You're scared. You've already been processed, arrested, put in handcuffs. Your picture's been taken. You've been fingerprinted. You've been put in a jail cell with God knows who. And then you've been, posted bail. Well, you're scared. You've already had to put up some money in more situations than not. You find an attorney, and through this seminar, get one that has a criminal background as being a lawyer and also doing administrative law. So you have to keep that in mind. And a lot of people say, well, Joe, you've been going on and on, get a lawyer. Should I hire a lawyer? Yes, you need to hire a lawyer because, at the minute that you look like you're in trouble, say, can I get some advice from my lawyer? Let me call them up. Even in a situation, realistically, some smart nurses that I've dealt with have done that. They've called me or another attorney up and said, now, wait a minute, I don't like where this questioning is going, employer. Let me go ahead and call my lawyer. That changes the whole dynamic of the situation. And you're looking at the employer saying, well, what's our potential exposure? We better have all our ducks in a row if we're confronting this nurse, if we're reporting this nurse to the board or to a prosecuting attorney. You better be very, very confident that we've got that we have the goods on them. So a lot of the time when a nurse attorney or another attorney that has a criminal defense specialty background or that has done administrative law and knows the peer review process and knows due process and your constitutional rights, that changes the dynamic. So I recommend again to get an attorney. And what is a criminal defense attorney? A criminal defense attorney is an attorney representing the defendant and a criminal prosecution. And what is the defense attorney's job? Well, I'll tell you. And the defense attorney's job is to create reasonable doubt in the minds of some potential jurors down the road. A good attorney who's representing a nurse as a criminal defendant will say in their minds, I'm going to have to treat this case just like any other, like it is going to trial. The worst mistake a lawyer can make is treating a case like it's going to plea out, or in a civil arena that it's going to settle, because that doesn't happen a lot of the time. Whatever's going to go wrong goes wrong. I mean, you know, Murphy's Law on steroids, ladies and gentlemen. I want you all to know that in the criminal law arena, when you're defending somebody in the criminal justice system, what's going to go wrong will go wrong. So you have to be prepared. As an attorney, and my experience over the years, you've got to be prepared to go ahead and go all the way, that you're going to go to trial, that you're going to advocate for that person, and that you're going to take it in front of a jury and say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am proud to represent Nurse X. You know, the evidence is going to show that Nurse X did nothing wrong, and the evidence is going to show that there's reasonable doubt everywhere. And, you know, a good attorney tries to explain what reasonable doubt is. Reasonable doubt is, you know, the issues in your mind, the most important issues in your mind, and you have a little doubt in your mind. You went to Hawaii, and you're on an airplane, and you say, did I leave the iron on? Is my house going to catch on fire? That's the doubt you have in your mind. Think of that as reasonable doubt. Did I pay my mortgage payment? Or am I behind? You know, those kinds of serious matters. And if you have a little doubt in your mind, I always try to explain to a jury panel, then you must acquit. We've got about a minute left in this session here, and I just wanted to let you know what a criminal defense lawyer does, and also the overview of the criminal defense attorney's role. And it's to represent the nurse in all criminal court proceedings. But not only that, it's to counsel, it's to advise, it's to reassure. A good attorney takes their job very seriously and represents a nurse zealously, and before being arrested, during the process, and afterward, to defend them zealously and to keep their constitutional rights in the forefront of their mind. And we're going to talk about that in the second half. We ensure that all the person's rights are afforded. In the second half of the show, we're going to talk about what if you can't afford an attorney. And we're also going to talk about who's eligible for such rights as getting an attorney appointed to them, and what to expect during trial. And also looking at the criminal background national trends that are going on with the nursing board when we come back.